We get into this evening's live. I want to go into a few points of discussion that I think are going to be very beneficial for us this evening. As we've seen as of late, and let me timestamp this very quickly. Good evening, 5:47 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on this Friday, October 25th, 2024. I'm XRP Future Millionaire, and I reside in the great state of Michigan. Lee, welcome in, says, good afternoon, Tom. Don't hate me. I believe in XRP and the technology behind it. However, reality is it's dead at the moment. There's something going on with it that nobody knows. We'll definitely get into a discussion this evening, Lee. And welcome in, and thanks for being very, very loyal to the channel. Whale, Josie Whale, welcome in, and thanks for being in Tom's Army for over 6 months with the XRP Predictor, along with Mo and Mark Caston. I greatly appreciate that continued support. It means the world to me. Crypto Wizard 007, welcome in. DJRC, good evening, and thanks for being in Tom's Army for 2+ months with the Dusty's, or your second month with the Dusty's Outhouse Crypto News. ZZam, good evening. What's going on, my friend? Eddie Lance, Chad Sommerfield, welcome in. Devin, good evening, and thanks for being in Tom's Army for well over a year with the I Told You So badge. He says, get your capital ready. Yes, indeed, and thank you for being a very trusted mod, Devin. I greatly appreciate that. Behind me, you're going to hear the steam. That's the laundromat behind me. They're steaming at the end of their shift tonight, and it's Friday, so that's not my tablet. That's nothing that's being interrupted on your end. That's just I live by the laundromat. That's been around, well, it's an older school laundromat, and I actually come to love this place. Chad Sommerfield, good evening. Welcome in. Robbie Sosa, Mario Louise Willamese in the house. Beautiful to see you in here as well, friend. UK Phil, welcome in, and thanks for being in Tom's Army for 6+ months with the XP Predictor. Love seeing that. And Phil, we're going to get on Fortnite hopefully this weekend. I really want to. The Gatman, welcome in, and thank you for being in Tom's Army for over 2 years with the XP 589 Moon Badge. Love seeing that. Love seeing that. Terry, good evening. Hope you're having a blessed evening so far. Trading with J-Ride, thank you for being in Tom's Army for over 2 years, over 3 years with the XRP Diamond Hands badge and sending a $10 donation. That's incredibly generous. Only thing good about this day today is seeing Tom going live. These 12 days, 7 days a week are starting to get to me. Oh man, I've been there, my friend. Gets a bit tedious indeed. I'll get back to you in a sec. Joe G, welcome in, and thanks for being in Tom's Army for 6+ months with the XP Predictor. Papa Wheelie, thanks for tuning in and being in Tom's Army for your first month with the emoji badge of me being abducted by aliens. Yes, hit that like button, and that is my face superimposed on there. Crazy Paul, welcome in, and thanks for being in Tom's Army for your second month with Dusty's Outhouse Crypto News. I'm going to get into my passionate, what I wanted to say on the opening here. In just a second, I just wanted to make sure I did my due diligence, welcoming everybody in. On Fridays, I will attempt to do my lives, later in the day like I like to do. During the week, it gets very jam-packed with my son's therapies and stuff, so I've been having to do my lives at like 1 p.m. It's a bit of a change, but it's still better than nothing, in my opinion. So I thank everybody who's been still tuning in. Dayton, welcome in. Simply Better, good evening. Inverse, Head and Shoulders. It's possible. That's what we're going to talk about here today. We're going to talk about that today. Just stay tuned. Zoli, welcome in. Well, that's one of the things. John Patak, thanks for being in Tom's Army for over 1 year with the I Told You So badge, and says, get up. Yep. Yes, indeed. So, we're not only going to talk about the charts and how we came down to our technical drop point and very well could have put in a double bottom here. We have to look at that. There's many different things we're going to have to discuss this evening, and some of it might not be what some want to hear. Some of it will be going into what's coming in 2030 with the CBDC nature in Japan. And everybody's going to say, oh, well, that's 6 years away. Yes, but that's part of the ever-growing adoption and what could happen with the central bank digital currency and where XRP could find a place over in Japan. So we'll go into that discussion today as well. We'll go into Brad Garlinghouse. I actually have all 27 minutes from the crypto, hold on just 1 sec. Albert, welcome in. It's time to explode according to the charts. Yes, this is something we're going to discuss because it can go one of two ways. We could have a big move up now if this double bottom holds, or it's going to push it another 20% down if it doesn't. So we're kind of in that area where we definitely want to see a hold here in a very volatile swing back to the top side. That is 100% correct. And I'm very happy to see that it's using the 51.1 cent as this area now that it's bounced back over. Came down to 50.9, made a bullish Gartley if it does pull back up. So, you know, there's going to be that appearance here as well. There's two different things that can happen here, and we've never retested the rising channel breakdown. So would it fall all the way through? I'm having a hard time believing it's never going to retest that, but never say never, I suppose. But we'll definitely take a look at the technical analysis. We'll take a look at what the Japanese CBDC by 2030 and how it goes into with XRP and talks about the potential or maybe the facade. That's why, you know, we'll see. Ripple CEO Brad Garlinghouse speaks on legal battle with SEC in the election. And this was just a day and a half ago or 2 days ago on CNBC. And this is the whole interview that they released now on CNBC on YouTube. So I'm very tempted to play that in its entirety at some point during this live, but we'll see how it goes. We'll see how it goes. I think it's very important, and we're going to want to know what Brad Garlinghouse is saying, because it's going to speak a lot about the direction of XRP, Ripple, and it's going to point us in a very interesting direction here going forward, and what the thoughts are in the Ripple camp. If you own XRP, you're definitely going to want to see that. So here's the deal. When it comes to XRP, it's just like I put in the title. XRP Dream or Dystopian Nightmare. I took part of my title from what I was using in the theme after for the Japanese 2030 with the CBDC, yada, yada, yada. That influenced what I wanted to put in my own title. And then I put the back end exactly the way I wanted to say it. But XRP now is become the attention seeker for the skeptics. Holders are being attacked. The community as a whole, even from within, the ones who had the strongest belief system within XRP are starting to go at the wayside. Syrian, welcome in, and thanks for being in Tom's Army for 3+ months with the XRP Meteor. Jorge, and a very trusted mod as well. Jorge, welcome in, and thanks for being a trusted mod and in Tom's Army for your first month with the emoji badge and me being abducted by aliens. Mule Shoe, welcome in. Tanya Love, good evening, and thanks for being in Tom's Army for over 2 years with the XRP 589 Moon Badge. One of the reasons I'm glad I was able to do this later on a Friday is I knew you would probably be in here, so I'm glad to see you in here. But as I was saying, with XRP, it is becoming now, especially if you're a holder, you're becoming the brunt, or at least you're becoming the stopping post for the skeptics now, and the ones who want to have a little fun or want to put someone down or make some smart ass joke. You know, you've noticed it. I've noticed it in the comments. I've seen the change in philosophy. I've seen the change in motivation in some of the audience. I've seen some that I never thought I would, well, I can't say never, because I said most people wouldn't make it until 2028. But what I'm seeing by a select few that I thought were more in tune with what was going on in the cycles have abandoned ship, and now they become one of the hardest skeptics in the audience now in the comments, which is great. You know, I need both sides. We need to see the real attitude that we have from not just us, not just the hardcore believers, but also the ones that were once believers and now are the biggest of skeptics, ones that were always haters, and ones that might have been lovers, but they failed to maybe sell a position. And this is what it really comes down to. Most people that started out lovers of XRP, maybe they bought it at 25 cents 3-4 years ago. Maybe they bought it at 35, 40 cents. But they watched the cycle go up to $1.98, or they watched the one before go up to $3.60 or $3.70, then just to watch it go up again to $1.98, but never acted on it. So now they sit here and they say 3 years later, they haven't made a red cent. Well, after all, Tom, in 2021, when you started the channel in March of 2028, XRP was at 47 cents, trickled down to about 38, then pushed its way up to $1.98, and now we're at 51.7. Correct. But if you understand the cycles, you can take what you had in 21 and sell it. You don't have to be at the top. I wasn't. I did not sell at $1.98. Even with all the knowledge and charts I have in front of me, I sold at $1.66 when it appeared to me that it turned into a right shoulder. And that was at $1.72, and I finally gave way at $1.66 and said it was a hell of a run from 47 cents. Well, my average was a little bit lower because I had 47. No, I'm just going to say 47. It's easier that way. But it was a hell of a run from there. And I got to look at myself and say, hey, you know, You made 300% here in like 3 weeks from the time the rally started. So now what ended up happening is we built a culture. Now you got a bunch of people that ended up buying it at $1.30, $1.50, $1.80 in 21 that refused to buy it at 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80 because they thought it was a joke. They thought there was no way it was going to go with the lawsuit. But then they became the ones who became the victim and bought it during the actual rally. So what I try to teach here is you never buy the pump. You buy before the breakout. So I've had a hardcore rule for my audience. We do not buy over 40 cents. And that's a proclamation I made back in 2021 when I sold at $1.66. And I called the drop to 52 cents and I refused to buy, and I took other altcoins for the run back up. I believe XRP went from 52 to $1.18 on that run. I chose DGB and a couple other back then to make the, it was actually a bigger move than XRP made. But anyhow, I didn't want to buy an XRP until I was ready to hold it again. And then it came down to 28.5 cents. I bought it, went up to 42. Well, actually it went up to almost 50, but I sold it at 42. And then I waited for it to come back on the uptrend at 34 cents, which I felt very strongly it had to at that point. It hit the 34 cents. Then we had the nice rally after what happened with Judge Annalise Torres. So I'm basically giving you some footnotes here if you're new with XRP. So then we went through and we had a beautiful rally up to almost $1 in 2023 in approximately the mid to late July. Well, what ends up happening there is now everybody who bought at 98 cents and 75 cents and 68 cents on the way back down, now they're sitting there and saying, oh, this pile of horse shit. I can't believe I ever got suckered into this. While the ones who bought at 28, 35, 38, they're looking at it saying, you know, I may not have sold because my ultimate prize wasn't at 91 cents or wherever it went. But if it gives me another opportunity to not only come to my price, but to come below, I'm all for it. Most people were pissed because they said they didn't have enough time to accumulate as it was. So now that we start to get back towards where we're pushing the 50 cent mark, which there's no guarantee it falls through here. We have put in a pretty solid double bottom here that would have to give way. But with me, I don't necessarily think that double bottom is going to have as big of a tug as it usually does, especially if we get some kind of, you know, escalation here during the weekend or something bigger happens. Like, I look at what happened in the mining sector. Like, you know, I have B2 Gold, First Majestic, and Fortuna. Look how Fortuna's down 2.3% today. And yes, I understand when we bought it, it was at $4.20, or First Majestic was at $4.71, and B2 Gold was at $2.38. That's not the point. The point is look how gold reacted today, up $10.62, and silver actually parred any losses and had a gain to end the week. But yet you have the mining stocks down. So what's starting to happen here, because the US dollar is starting to go parabolic, it's starting to affect other sectors. And a lot of people have the false distortion, in my opinion at least. They think when the US dollar currency goes up, it's good for crypto. I disagree, because what happens when the US dollar currency goes up? Well, it's artificially inflating the US dollar, how much it's worth, which means everything in comparison should cost less to buy. If no difference in the fundamentals, it should be cheaper to buy. So when I look at moments like this, especially in the commodities and precious metals, the fact that precious metals are going up with the dollar, what happens when the dollar tanks? Gold and silver are set up for a monument, especially silver, but they're set up for monumental moves. And fuck, I said this at 1,600 to my audience, and now I'm sitting here at over 2,700. You know, I said it's going to be the same thing when XRP finally hits that moment. And we're going to sit here and we're going to say, man, I remember when we were talking about this. Because I remember when I talked about when everybody thought we were going to the promised land, when it was at $1.80, and I said, uh-oh, guys, we're in some trouble here. We're going to historic lows. And now some people are like, well, Tom, you know, we're at, yeah, it went to 28 cents. That was a historical drop from $1.98. Don't make any mistake about it. There was only one bigger drop in XRP's history. And that's when it went from $3. And so this was the second biggest drop in the history of XRP if you look at it from a nominal term. We went from $3.75, 80 cents down to about 10.5 cents, which was the biggest one, obviously. Then we went into the push up to $1.98. just to drop back to 28 cents. That was a massive drop. That was a historical drop. It dropped ninefold over where it was at. And where it was start at 28 just to get back up to where it was at. Or eightfold. It was a brutal drop. There's only one time in its history, in my opinion, that was even more significant. And that was just the 2018 resistance that took until 2020. So it basically went January of 2018. We hit the all-time highs. And then it took until March of 2020 to hit the support floor. Which meant it took us that long to create the swing high and swing low. It took 2.5 years. And now ever since we've been building up, building up, building up. We're on top of that 2018 resistance right now. And now we're still over that. And that area is around 48.3. So I'm not worried in the least. And Siri and I, let's see. I'm sorry, I'm just trying to read through some of the stuff. I tend to talk a lot when I'm trying to make a point. So that's why I'm not phased. I've been planning for this for a long time. That's why for the last couple weeks I've been telling my audience, get your money and yourself situated. Get yourself situated. Have some capital available. Join me on 2 platforms. Like, I deleted BLOFIN. That's why, FYI. When I seen the differential with the fees that they were charging, I did a $400 50x trade. And they charged me 13 on each side. Then I did 10x trades. I'm being charged 12 bucks on the entry and the exit. So I figured out that that was one big, that was just one big shyster moment where I felt like I'm losing money. I had a $28 gain and I ended up losing fucking $6. So that to me told me, you know, you can't even swing this because so basically what it ends up being on BLOFIN for me in my experience, you have to be up 7.5% if you're doing higher leverage just to break even. So that's not worth it to me. So that's why, if you're asking, that's the big reason why I stopped the copy and all that crap. So, but if we're looking here, make sure you look at BITUNIX in the video description below and HOTCOIN, and I'll tell you why I'm using both of them. And I don't know how many people are watching. I don't care. I'm not looking at it anymore until at least halfway or more through the show for a reason. But if you are watching, make sure to hit that like button, because we need as many people as possible to help us push this, to push our narrative. We need as many people as possible to be in here to see what's going to happen before and have it set up. Like, the worst thing you can do is set everything up after. You can't do it after. So I need your help to hit that like button so that YouTube does recommend my content. There has never been a more important time for me for YouTube to recommend my content. It's been a struggle the last couple days. Today I got a couple hundred views recommendation, nothing major. Yesterday I didn't get any because we didn't hit the like button enough. Today we barely did. I mean, it barely got anything, but we did manage to hit where we need to likes, you know, at least over 100. But we're getting into a time now where we're going to get a lot of the skeptics. You got to find somebody who actually understands what's going on. I've done this. This isn't my first cycle with all of you. This is now the second one in front of all of you, and I've never missed a day since. Never. I've never missed a day doing any of this. So, you know, I'm very dedicated, and I put my money where my mouth is, and that's the truth. So I'm going to put this up here. This is for BITUNIX and HOTCOIN. HOTCOIN is for VELO, when we do accumulate VELO. And then there's a few other ecosystems that aren't available on BITUNIX. Then we're going to have BITUNIX for the majority of the accumulation, like algo. And, you know, I can't remember now. Does BITUNIX have IOTA? IOTA is a huge part of this accumulation. And then we're going to get back into this. I know some of you are going to leave, which, fine. I'm trying to break this down to you in the best way that I can so you're not lost. And then we're going to get into the technicals right now. But I had a big thing that I wanted to talk about today, and we're getting through it now. Yes, IOTA is on. Oh, yeah. Yes. BITUNIX not only has IOTA, they have IOTX, which is like, oh, it's right on, it's on IOTA's network. IOT, oh, man. We're going to make some bank when we have to do this. So we'll have IOTX, we'll have IOTA, we'll have algo, we'll have HBAR, we'll have VELO. Obviously, we have XRP, XRPH. We'll dip back into XDC. But I'm going to have to find exchanges for what I want to do. So in the short term, I'm looking at HBAR. I'm looking at VELO. I'm looking at algo. I'm looking at IOTA. I'm looking at IOTX. You know, these are things that I am personally looking for. I'm looking for further growth on XRP Healthcare, which is on the XRP ledger. It's a direct correlation to XRP. It's on its lineage, basically. So I'm looking at a lot of different things that I'm trying to do here. Wow. Really, Brian, thank you so much for the have I mentioned donations or anything today? I don't think I have. I'm shocked. Trading with J Wright sent $10 and now Brian sent a $10 donation to Cash App. That is unbelievable. That's unbelievable. Thank you so much for that. Like I'm almost shell shocked that 2 people donated today. Like I'm certainly not expecting it, but let me continue. So I have a very thought out and deep plan that I have for this next time around. It has to happen though. Some say this is a great time to accumulate. It's not that I disagree, but ladies and gentlemen, when I see this in front of me just staring me in the face, it's not, there's a reason why, you know, I'm cautiously optimistic. This is a shoulder. This is a head. This didn't need another shoulder here. It just dropped right through. You understand? Took the stairs up, took the elevator down. I used to say this all the time. Takes the stairs up, takes the elevator down. Takes the stairs up, takes the elevator hopefully not down, because if it does, it'll be quick. It could make a W reversal here. Now this, to me, everybody, I believe this was a bear flag from the beginning. I had it set up in that way, and then I realized it had turned into a rising channel, which was very bearish. And then we had the technical drop point. That's how we distinguished it from the rising channel. When it broke through, then we just simply measured the diameter or the width of the channel and then measured it out properly. It led us down to 51.1. We put that target there, and it took a while because it broke up to 56 when we filled the fair value gap. But fortunately for all of us, we were a step ahead. We knew we'd bounce up to the fair value gap and then come down to 51.1 if it was destined to do that. Then the question is, would it make the W here, come up to 54.3, or just fall right through? That's what we're currently in position right now to find out. That's what we're here to find out. So we've got a lot of things building right now. Yes, is there a chance that the war escalates? You better freaking believe it, and it's worse than most people are acknowledging. And it's a lot worse. Is there a chance that this was to get a lot of people out before another rally up? Man, I'm not so sure about that. Volume predicts price. Volume predicts price. And so far after the double bottom, we should have seen some kind of extreme urgency here. And in the last 4 hours now, the most we could come up with in Tether, which is where we should find our most volume, we had a 3.5 million candle here in the hourly. Then we had 107,000. So is this an anomaly candle? Or is this something that, because look how big the drop was, 18 million in the hour, and it's only 3 million is the best we could do, 3.5 on the pushback so far. Right now in the first 11 minutes, 108,000. So if you prorate that another 5 times, you're talking about a 648,000 candle here. That's nothing. That won't even get the dogs to come out of their own shed. Like, that's not going to get anybody in. But you got to take into serious consideration, is this a W reversal or not? You know, that it always is going to be like this until it's not. Anti-communist said, sell XRP, remember worthless, so we can buy at lower prices. Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. And if you understand how to invest cycles, you are not wavering right now. Hell, you shouldn't even have bought in anywhere near where it's at right now anyhow. You should, if you've watched me for any length of time, it's sub 40 cents. And there's a reason why, because then if you have to accumulate more, you don't have to get caught up in the, oh my God, I bought it at 60 cents. Do I really buy it on the next drop? Yes. If it comes down that low, if you believe in XRP, the worst thing you can do is become afraid. You know, you don't want to all of a sudden become afraid and then you do the opposite. Now, instead of even investing, you become afraid and now you're not even going to buy it because you're like, this is a pile of shit. You know, but what happens? Like, we believe in it so much when the price is going up. But then when it comes back down and gives you the opportunity to reaccumulate, or maybe you missed out or whatever, I think a lot of the misconception here is a lot of people honestly think we were in a bull run. We have been in nothing but at best, a bear market rally since we dropped to 28. In my opinion, you couldn't even start talking into a new bull market until we passed the $1.18. That was the cup and handle technical target to the top side. I also think it's very honest when you're looking at this, if you have the charts properly, that you still shouldn't even be worried. You still shouldn't even be worried because we've targeted this. The only question is do we come back up and do we reject? You know, we didn't come back up. So now we're starting to push down. Now it leaves a target here. And you start looking, well, Tom, what the hell is that target? Not only is that the 2020 uptrend, that is the all-time uptrend right now that started after the swing high in 2018. That is also the cup and handle support there. As you can see, we have a cup and handle. We're also within a falling channel, but the cup and handle takes precedent. We fell out of a larger rising channel. Paid the piper, so to say. We still have a massive W reversal here. Big inverse head and shoulders that we continue to talk about. So please, if you're just looking at this in the short time frame, you're not paying attention. Look at this in the daily. Hell, look at this in the weekly. You start to paint a little bit of a picture here, don't we? Like, what if, and let's put it into the daily, what if XRP, if you just look at it on the slightly bigger time frames, and what if, right, what if that's a, like, over here is the actual shoulder, so it comes, you know, boom, head, and then it creates a big shoulder here. Like, what if that is the big setup? Even if it comes here, it doesn't invalidate it. You'd have to break a little bit lower than that to invalidate it. So I think we're still well within our target area. And look, zoom out, when in doubt. Yep. And look at this with Bitcoin. Bitcoin speaks the same tendency. 58K is our rejection area. If it can't, or 68K, if it can't break and hold 68,000, it's not trying to trick us, Bitcoin. As long as you understand the pattern, we're in a cup and handle, just like XRP, much bigger. Actually, no, not much bigger. XRP's is just enormous. But we're in a megaphone pattern. See that consolidation? That handle's a megaphone. Which means if it does get rejected here, it can come all the way back down to 47,000. Actually, now 46,540 by the end of October. And we'll keep moving down as we go. But that would still be bullish. So even if Bitcoin took a $24,000 drop, it would still be considered bullish. Isn't that crazy? But imagine it drops 24,000. What do you think the RSI is going to look like if that happens? It would be promising. Promising. Oh, man. But that's what's starting to possibly line up for all of crypto. That's why I've been putting out the warning. Now, I played devil's advocate here because do you think it's going to happen before the election? It's possible. See, it's possible. Only because, or not before, well, yeah, before the election too, because we're about to have our next rate cut in November. So if the markets are all bleeding, it would give the Fed another reason why they could cut rates. So I'm not going nowhere. I'm not going nowhere. So you're going to have to deal with me as long as you want to deal with XRP and you want to keep coming around, because even if nobody's watching, I'm going to do this for historical data and do it every single day because I'm a person of routine. Just like I go lift weights and do my workout 5 days a week. You know, today was my last day, so now I have Saturday and Sunday off. I come and do this every single day, regardless of day, month, year, holiday or not, sickness, death, whatever, hospitalization. It doesn't matter. I'm going to be here. As long as I'm breathing, I'll be here, God willing. And I'm 40 years old, so I have a long time left here. So we're not going to miss anything. I'm not going to miss anything. Hopefully nobody else is going to miss anything. I have a big, hopefully if you can't tell by now, I'm passionate about this. I'm not passionate about being right. I'm passionate about understanding where to buy and then knowing how to accumulate and go forward. I'm passionate about teaching people that wouldn't understand the importance of precious metals. I understand looking at it at 2,746, someone might say, well, I'm not buying it when it's that expensive. It's not about how expensive it is. That's the wrong way to look at it. That's real money. Yes, is it true I haven't bought anything in 2024? Yes. But that's only because I was accumulating since 2018 or 17. And then in 2022, I got the biggest gift of my life when gold came down to 1,600 and silver came down to $16 after I made, over 12 grand in the crypto market in profit that I got to sell, not counting what I kept to the side to rebuy XRP. So it allowed me to do that in precious metals and then some. And then I showed everybody the buying technique. In most of 22, when I was buying like $600 or $700 a month, and I was showing everybody, and I was doing videos on it a lot, and yada yada yada. There's a time and a reason for everything. Now, when it gets to crypto, every time we get to the areas where, hey, you know how many people asked me when DGB was on its move because they didn't buy it when I told everybody to? Some people did, some people didn't. But when I told people to buy it at 0.005 for the rally from 23 into 24, and then what ends up happening, it rallies. Oh no, that's not the rally, folks, of this year. It rallies, right? We come down from back here where we buy it. This area back here, it came down. And then we have to hold it, right? It's at like 5.8. We have to hold it for a while. Look at October 17th of 23. And then finally I get to materialize it in April of 24. So that's November, December, January. That's 6 months it took from what I was saying to materialize into a, let's see, 6, 12, 18. Because I sold it just over. So you guys know where I sold it. So it's over a 200% gain. But it took 6 months to materialize. But you have to have the foresight to buy it when nobody else wants it. Then everybody wants it up here, and then it just comes down, and then it goes lower. That's the key. Had I have bought DGB here, right? Just hear me out. And this is the problem a lot of people have with XRP, and that's not an XRP problem. That's our own problem. Us individually, if we can't read a cycle. That has nothing to do with XRP. But if you bought DGB here last year, August, September, October, and it goes from here, and then it comes all the way up here, and then you sell it and it comes down, you're happy. Because you're like, oh, I read this perfectly. It came up to the pattern resistance. Now it's coming back down to the pattern support, yada, yada, yada. And we have a target down here at 228, which if it comes down there, my God, come on, please, I'm begging it. I am begging crypto to, if crypto takes this dive down of 23 to 30% across the board, we're gonna make a lot of money. I'm just telling everybody right now, it's the same thing I said last year when crypto did what it did and we got to reaccumulate. I said we're gonna make a lot of money in 24. We made a lot of money in 24. A lot of people just can't understand it because they weren't around. They weren't here for Winning Wednesdays and FOMO Fridays, but we made an exorbitant amount of money in the first part of 24, early to mid 24. Now it's been sour the last 3 to 4 months where we're waiting for the next opportunity. We got one when XRP slapped us in the face to 38 cents. And then we got to buy it through the XRP Bitcoin pairing, and we made 40% very quickly. That was something that was nice. But anyhow, so DGB comes back down. So the person who bought it here sold it here. So bought it when nobody wanted it, sold it when everybody wanted it, seeing that it was coming to its top, and then now is in a position to buy it. Maybe not yet. Wait to see how it materializes, and then maybe it comes down to the ultimate drop. Like that's the technical drop point if it comes through. They're happy. The vice versa is fear, greed, bought it here when it was already on a 200+% rally, and then they sat through it because they said, I'm not selling it for a loss, and now all of a sudden look where we're at. So that's what we're talking about. Oh yeah, 30% drop. I could see that. Like the target is about 23%, but I could see it overselling and going down 30%. Absolutely. Absolutely. I don't think that's unfair to say. Somebody asked about XLM. XLM, I felt like it's not worth holding right now because I hold XRP, and just like XDC, I wait for my well, it's not that it's not worth buying yet until we find the right moment, unless you think it's the right moment, because at some point it will be. Now, you see how we've broken down out of this big pattern? Okay. Well, technically for XDC, and let's get rid of all this junk, okay? Let's get rid of all the junk for XLM, I mean. Let's get rid of all the noise. Let's get rid of the noise. Well, not that noise. Now, if we get a rejection here, folks, I'm not trying to be like, hey, you know, the market's speaking bullish and then lie to you and say it's bearish. No. I'm being serious right now. The market is in turmoil. The market is leading us to something bigger. And I'm not using the entirety of this. I'm not going from back here. I'm just going to go from here where I see a concrete touch. And then you look at it, and this is technically signaling like, hey, if worst case scenario plays out here, we could have a drop down to 2.7 cents for XLM. Now, I don't know about you, but if XLM went down to 2.7 cents, I'm going to hold 100,000 XLM. I guarantee it. I'm just saying. I will hold 100,000 XLM likely if it comes down there. I will have to modify, maybe not 100, maybe 50. It just all depends. Because if this comes down here and we do these kind of drops, look how big of a drop this would be. This is insane if it did this. I'm not sure it's going to do this big of a drop. I'll show you what I'm thinking. Because a 70% drop, yes, that could be the holy fuck moment. But I'm not saying that's what's going to happen. What I'm saying, what I think is setting up here, is we probably had something like this in the short term that set up and it failed. So then instead of saying, you know, the doomsday scenario, I try to find the in-between. So that's when I start to complicate the charts a little bit. So, you know, you start to look at the shorter drops, right? You start to look at what makes sense within what it's giving us. And then after this, we've got to get into the Brad Garlinghouse stuff. And we'll relax and things like that. So the first drop, it's not major. It could come down to like a double bottom. How about that? But that's not technically true. It is true. Unless we went back farther, but... So that would be, you know, down to 7.9 cents. So let's see where... So the first target would be 7.9 if it got rejected here. 7.9 lines up a little bit with what XRP is doing. Let's be honest. This is that 20% additional drop at least. I think it's a little bit farther than this, so... I mean, because we see the totality here where it would have started. Now, the only thing I'll say is the shorter pattern, if we're doing this, we've got to be honest with ourselves. If we're doing the shorter pattern, this is what you're looking at here, okay? So don't get caught up with all the noise and all this other shit. You would have to do the drop point. You know, so you're going to have to be honest with yourself. This is what it started setting up. And I'm trying to show you how to do technical analysis so that you don't have to pay for it. You know, that's why I show you this every single day. I'm not looking to get rich off of all of you. I'm looking to get rich off of what I know. So I ask for the pay it forward mentality because it makes me feel good. I feel like, you know, you should always honor somebody who is putting in that effort for you and giving you hints and clues along the way that maybe you would never have known. That's why I tip more than most people when it comes to even getting like a DoorDash or somebody delivering my food or making my food or stuff like that. It's just, there's a reason why. And it's not because it's good karma. It's because it's, I can't explain it. I don't want to explain it. So anyhow, so if this did break down, this gives you the more logical target. Because this is actually within the short-term setup. And the crazy thing about this is the way it's set up. It doesn't leave anything to the imagination. There, that's what I wanted. Right there. That's what I was looking for. That is what I was looking for. Beautiful. 6.3 cents. That makes a hell of a lot of sense. That is the one. So then let's just say it broke down. That's the one. There you go. There's about a 30% drop. That's the one I was looking for. And the only way to invalidate this would be to break out of this resistance and then start pushing up about 38% of the top side. And then over time break out of that resistance. Oh, shit. I want to keep that. I'm going to put that back because we know how it's measured. So we'll just say, hey, it drops from here, right? Whatever. So that's what you're looking at for XLM. So like, I can pinpoint patterns like this, and I can figure it out and see what we're really looking at. We're up against a very big resistance, and it's a hell of a moment here. It's going to be a big moment all weekend for XRP, Bitcoin, Ethereum, XLM, all of our favorite friends, Algo, IOTA. I'm so excited about BITUNIX because I can buy IOTA. You guys have no idea. I'm going to be complete. IOTA, Algo, IOTX, HBAR, oh my God, XRP, XLM, XDC when we get down to that part of the road. But my first road starts with Algo and IOTA. It has to. It has to. And then I have to designate how many tokens of each I want. Because if IOTA is going to find itself down at like 3, 4, 5, 7 cents, it's going to have to be well more than 10,000 tokens. Like, you're talking maybe 50,000 if we could get to that point. So I'm trying to accumulate in a very fast fashion money and just keep building up in my portfolios the way I've been. Quant, absolutely, if it gets down to where I've talked about for many, many years. I think a lot of people got bored of me with Quant because they wanted to buy it at 115 and 110. I said, listen, guys. Whoops, that's not what we want. We don't want Quant digital BS. We want quant. And right now it's at $61. It's fallen below. And now it does. Here's the thing, like, crypto is trying to put an inverse head and shoulders, but it's starting to make me feel like this could be for a fake out reasons. You know, false gravata. We'll see. We'll see if this inverse pattern plays out, or if this was the rejection and then it actually comes down to my $15. Like, I've had these targets. Most of you know, how long have I had these targets? And yeah, we had to watch it play out from here to here and back down. But if you're patient, you start to get where you want. So yeah, you know, it's I just have a feeling they could drop the hammer here. Yeah, Casper's another one, but a lot of people are gonna never buy Casper because of what's going on. You know, they're gonna say, "Oh, look at all this stuff that's happening. The ones who are running the show are running away with all the money, yada yada yada." A lot more than that going on. A lot more than that. There's a lot of conjecture and bullshit and yada yada yada. What have I said for Casper? You know well as I do, Devin. Where did I say I'd buy Casper? 00347. If it didn't hold, the first area we could have bought, depending on what was going on, was 008. But obviously with the news, there was no reason. The second area was 00772. Well, it still doesn't, I'm not sure that that's the reason anyway. Now it looks like 0347 is the spot. And yes, it's an ISO token. It is indeed. But you see, with all the bad stuff that comes out, you get all these sells. You get all these sells. Whether it's, you know, so it almost looks like the rest of the market is trying to follow a similar gravata. On Polkadot, I don't hate it. For me to be interested in Polkadot, or dot as you're calling it, but I know you're talking about Polkadot. For me to be interested, I hope I picked the right chart. Nope, I did not. Damn. I had an analysis, and wow, we're actually getting close to that, to be honest with you. See, these markets, they're not leaving anything for design. They're just doing exactly what they need to do with that's why I keep saying the trading bots are making it very difficult to do certain things. Very difficult. Did you see the liquidation of the shorts and long for the leverage side of town? Why do you think I'm trying to build good principles here? And I talk about spot. And I started to get a little carried away talking more than I would wanted to about leverage. And then I pulled it back because guess what? I seen the shenanigans going on. Now that I traded in copy trading on a couple different exchanges and seen the fiasco with how much they charge for fees. I see what they're doing with leverage. They're draining the retail investor because let's face it, rich people aren't trading leverage. Some people get mad when I say that, but the ones with the exorbitant amount of money, it doesn't move the needle. And I think a lot of us are short-sighted. We forget the only reason to trade leverage is to hold more tokens for less of a value, but it comes at a risk. And the risk is you can get liquidated, and instead of just having 1x of that token and you get greedy at 10, 25, 50, because hey, who wouldn't want to hold 40,000 XRP for 400 bucks at a 50x trade? Which means if it goes 2%, you're fucked. If it goes 1.78%, you're done. Wouldn't you rather just hold 1x and then build off of it in the future? I think leverage is designed kind of like a tax. It's a crypto tax. It's a crypto tax on the poor because the rich are not leverage trading. I guess if there's some rich people in my audience, you can disagree with me. But if you are a leverage trader with high stakes, I would simply ask, why? What benefit could it have besides quick money, but easy come, easy go? Because you could build an evident spot position. So this is what's going to happen with Polkadot. If it breaks this and gets rejected, you're looking at down here. This is something $2.86. I'm not convinced that that's the end of it, though. I am not convinced with Polkadot. Now, I would like to think that it could bounce off of here because that is the all-time downtrending support. So, absolutely not, XRP GOAT. They do not. They do not. Aaron, I hope that helped with what's going on. But overall, I don't mind Polkadot. I'm going to actually put this on my other chart. I actually don't mind it. Another one that could get hot, and it's what got hot with us when it gets to where we're going, is AMP. AMP made us 300% in a day, like day and a half earlier this year. It was unbelievable. From 0048 or 58 or whatever, and it was an unbelievable move. But like, I watched Gala, but VELO on this list is my A1. VELO and Telecoin from this list. Actually, SHX is nice as well, but I really like VELO. I like VELO a lot. I'm looking for it to come much further down. But guys, I've taken too much time getting through this. 91 people, which is great to see. 80 likes. Please make sure if you're watching this, you make sure to hit that like button so YouTube does recommend this content. I really need your help. I'm being squeezed by YouTube. I'm being squeezed by... Oh, absolutely they do. XRP I don't think that's a meme coin, but they do. But... So I want to listen to this with Brad Garlinghouse. We'll get to the Japanese CBDC stuff tomorrow probably. But I want to finish it with Brad Garlinghouse. So this is about a 28-minute video. I don't know if we're going to watch it all. But I think this is very, very, very important. This just took place about a day and a half, 2 days ago. It's available now on the CNBC YouTube page. But if you're an investor in XRP and you want to know Ripple's plans and what they're going to do with the SEC and what they're thinking, you need to watch this now. I'm going to do my relaxation and we're going to enjoy this. But I'm going to be here. We're going to watch this together and we're going to see what we make of it as we go along. And remember, I pay for YouTube Premium now so we don't have to watch commercials on any station. So that's the reason I do it, because I don't want to watch it and, you know, ruin our flow that we have. So hopefully this finds you all well. This is from DC FinTech Week.
I thought you should have the middle. And a big point of interest for me. And I don't know who's in this room. I know this conference has been going on a long time and many people are returning to this, but I have been covering the space for 10 years. So I know that there are always a lot of newcomers here. Ripple has been around for a very long time in crypto industry terms. It is a payments company, very global payments.
Out of curiosity, how many in my audience have seen this? Whoops. Just out of curiosity, how many of you have seen this? And you know, don't be shy.
I thought you should have the middle. Okay. This works.
Excellent.
All right. Hello, everybody. My name is Tanea McKeel. I am a crypto reporter at CNBC. We have several, obviously, but my coverage focuses a lot on markets and investing trends, which includes things like payments and stable coins, which is why I'm very excited to be here with Brad, who is Brad Garlinghouse, the CEO of Ripple. Thank you.
Glad to be here. Thanks for nice to see you in person.
Yeah, so yeah, Ripple, a big point of interest for me. And I don't know who's in this room. I know this conference has been going on a long time and many people are returning to this, but I have been covering the space for 10 years. So I know that there are always a lot of newcomers here. Ripple has been around for a very long time in crypto industry terms. It is a payments company, very global payments company. Closely tied to the XRP coin, which you can get a little bit into.
Sure.
Thank you for that info.
Of course, one of the biggest
XRP
by market
go.
cap. A lot of attention recently because
I took a screenshot of your
SEC's lawsuit against you.
I heard about
that. A partial victory in last year, a partial victory, but kind of a landmark victory for the industry. Is there any updates on that you want to address before we move on to the session?
We won't spend all of our time having been up on this stage in previous years. It's always been a topic. So as tonight I was referencing the key part of the case,
XRP
the SEC sued us, the kind of what is XRP, their allegation being that XRP is a security. The judge ruled last summer that XRP, quote, in and of itself is not a security. The SEC announced about right around 2 weeks ago that they're appealing. But what I think is misunderstood is they're not actually appealing that part of the decision. So for us, like the biggest win, and as you described, the landmark part of the win is really the SEC has tried to take the position that a token can in and of itself be a security. And the courts have consistently ruled that that is not the case. And they, in the appeal, what they're really appealing is this idea around programmatic trades, programmatic sales, as to whether or not that represents an investment contract. And the idea being that if it's a programmatic trade, it's anonymous buyer, anonymous seller, that there can't be a contract there. Their contention is there can be. You know, look, as you go up the appellate courts, it gets harder and harder, I think, for the SEC. We're very optimistic about where we stand on this. And again, the good news is, no matter what, XRP, the law of the land is XRP is not a security. Well, the one last thing I'll say about this that we were talking about backstage, I think is super frustrating, a little bit, you know, mind-numbing, is, so is the SEC going to litigate every token? You know, we have clarity. They've said Bitcoin's not a security. They've been a little nuanced about ETH. I guess now they're saying it's not. Well, first they said it's not, then they said maybe it is. They're going to, Wells notice, and now they're saying it's not. XRP, a federal judge has said it's not. But everything else is kind of still up for grabs. You even had the head of enforcement from the SEC who left about 2 weeks ago. After he left, contradicted what Gensler is saying and saying, like, we need legislation. We need clarity. And I think the good news is there appears to be momentum, you know, with the Fit 21 Act passed.
Sure.
If you hold crypto, or especially XRP, you're going to want to know about this. Like, I hope everybody stays. I know people leave, but you want to know what you're holding and what the company, this is the CEO of Ripple. You want to know, be informed. If you want to get ahead in investing, you need to be informed.
This summer, in a bipartisan way, there appears to be some, you know, momentum around that. So maybe we'll get that sometime soon.
And then, as you mentioned at the top, of course, earlier this month, the agency did appeal part of that decision. So is there anything, any updates there that we need to know?
I mean, nothing, you know, that will progress. It'll take, you know, call it a year to kind of go through the system. That I think it'll be interesting. The filing work that they'll have to do kind of comes out in January. By then, of course, we'll know if there's what the presidential election yields. It'll be interesting to see if there's a shift, and you know they could abandon that appeal. They could continue with it. I think, and I think obviously many federal courts have agreed that the SEC's war and kind of Gensler's reign of terror on crypto has been misguided, and I think they've gotten kind of smacked down by several courts with language. I mean, in our case, it was quote, and I'm quoting a judge and saying this, that the SEC has failed to follow a faithful allegiance to the law. In another case, they described the SEC as it relates to, this is a grayscale case, they're being arbitrary and capricious. You know, I think many in the industry have asked for many years, like, we want to follow the rules. We need to have clarity about what the rules are. And the SEC has changed the rules. You know, their own interpretation of the rules have changed at times. And, you know, anyway, it's frustrating. I've already said many things about this, and I will say many more, I'm sure.
Well, thank you. With that out of the way, do you want to back up a little bit? So, like I said, Ripple has been around a long time. I wonder if you could just reintroduce the company to the people in the room and anyone watching on live stream. I think that people hear Ripple sometimes and make an automatic association with XRP. Can you just reintroduce the company?
Sure.
Say what Ripple does and what its place is in the U.S. fintech industry.
So Ripple's vision from the earliest days, this even predates me, Chris Larson, the co-founder of the company, really articulated this vision for enabling an internet of value, to allow value to move the way information moves today. And so, you know, how do you catalyze that vision? And Ripple started by focusing on the payments and the payments industry. And if you kind of dissect the payments industry, you go to where's the highest point of friction. Cross-border payments are the highest point of friction. Cross-border payments today are kind of, largely speaking, built on the SWIFT ecosystem, which is slow, it's expensive, it was architected 50 years ago. The error rate is quite high. And it's kind of like, in an age of the internet, why can't we have something better? And so we have been working with banks and financial institutions around the world. 95% of our customers are non-US financial institutions, which is partly a reflection of the US SEC dynamic. But we continue to focus on that kind of infrastructure layer. We had demand from our customers and acquired a company about a year ago in the enterprise custody. And so we count some of the largest banks in the world using our custody technology. But we are not a consumer company. We are an enterprise infrastructure company around kind of all things blockchain. And we intend to kind of stay at that level. As you introduced, XRP is part of our technology stack, and we have always had a kind of a vested interest in catalyzing and investing in and seeing the XRP ecosystem thrive. We think, I am definitely not one that I would call a maximalist around crypto. Frankly, I've shared before, I own Bitcoin, I own ETH, I own XRP. I think there's going to be a multi-chain world. XRP is exceptionally good at payments. It's very, very fast on a per transaction basis, and it's very, very low cost on a per transaction basis. It scales much better than some of the other layer one chains.
How does price action in XRP affect?
Guys, listen to what he just said. I own Bitcoin. I own Ethereum. I own XRP. What do I always say when it comes to all of this stuff? They all work together. It's only the retail are dumb enough to pit them against each other. I'm just being honest. Like how we say, you have to own crypto or precious metals. No, they work together. You store your value in precious metals and you take the profits from crypto when you're waiting out cycles and you store it in precious metals and let it build into oblivion for your next generations. Everybody's like, oh, I don't want to save it for the next one. Well, then you're not even investing properly. Like what you're doing now isn't even for you. It's for your kids. It's for your future family. It's so they don't have to go through the struggle we're going through now. A lot of people forget that in the family lines. Absolutely, it's 5D chess. But the 5D chess I'm playing isn't for my lifetime. I want to be remembered when it goes down past my son and the generations down below him in the Speaker family. I want it to be, hey, our great-great uncle, our great-great grandpa, our great-great cousin, our great-great-great uncle or grandpa, he put us into this position where we're good. And what did he do? He understood crypto before most even knew what the fuck digital shit was. He understood what real money was. Thank God he didn't believe in the US dollar, but he understood precious metals and he built us a nest egg. Because we don't ever have to worry now and our world is shit. Like, I know what I'm playing for. I'm not playing for myself anymore. Once you have enough to live on your own, I don't need to go to the bar every day. I don't need to go to sporting events. I haven't been to a sporting game in 7 years now. I used to go to Michigan games every Saturday with my brother, old Vincenzo, for a decade, more. And you realize you start wasting $80 on a ticket and $50 for parking because we used to do the tailgating for like 4 hours before the game. And you're paying for it on the golf course. But it's just all the ways that you can switch things. I stopped living for the moment and I started planning for something better and bigger. This is bigger than all of us. If we fail, imagine what our kids are going to have to go through because they don't even have a chance with what we're in. God forbid we go the tax route of Harris. And I don't care Harris or Trump. I know the central banks put two options in front of us. And they give us the choice whether we want to hang ourselves slowly or quickly. Do we want to mortgage our future today? Or do we want to pay the piper? See, our generation is a bunch of losers is what it comes down to. We're a bunch of people that stick around and we're not accountable for our actions. We are losers. We're victims. We don't want to be that. We're bad examples. So what that means is we're willing to mortgage our kids' future so that we have it a little bit easier. That's bullshit and backwards. Like, how dare us?
Affect your business, if at all?
It turns out it doesn't really. If you do the math, and we have a whole white paper we published on this, but if you look at the volatility of a low volatile asset like a fiat currency, but you hold it for, let's say, 3 or 4 days to settle a SWIFT transaction, it turns out you have more volatility risk in a low volatile asset as compared to an XRP transaction because it's a highly volatile asset, but it's a very, very fast to transact. So it turns out there's less volatility risk. Now, in the traditional fiat world, when you go to a bank to wire money, someone's hedging that currency risk for 3 or 4 days, and you're paying for that currency risk. You're locking in a rate in advance. You don't have to do that in the crypto world because it's so much faster. If the volatility, say, got much, much, much worse, you could have a situation where you could have new participants in the market emerge to kind of sell that product.
So you mentioned just now that most of your business takes place outside of the U.S. You've reintroduced the company. How do you view Ripple's role in helping shape fair fintech regulation here in this market?
You've heard of fair shake. Well, the introduction of the word fair. So Ripple is one of the companies that is behind a super PAC called Fair Shake. It's one of the largest PACs in this election cycle. Although we have indicated, I think the other, Coinbase has been active in Fair Shake as well as Andreessen Horowitz. We're kind of the three anchor. There's been a few other supporters as well. But, I use the word fair. All that we're looking for is a fair shake. There's a lot of misinformation, and frankly, I don't mind saying it. Look, Elizabeth Warren is out there spreading misinformation and lies about crypto. She will tell you that all crypto activity is illicit activity. The facts do not bear that out. And so all we have asked for is a fair shake. I think crypto should be bipartisan, and the Fair Shake Super PAC supports people on the R and D side. It's been important to me. It's not a coincidence I'm wearing a purple tie today. So we have been very active because we haven't had those clear rules of the road. And I think no matter what happens in a few weeks here, we will have a more pro-innovation, pro-crypto Congress that gets elected.
What have your conversations in DC been like? Just for, even before election season, how engaged with regulators have you been? You've been around for a long time. So what are those conversations like? No, I'm saying Ripple is
original
pillar.
Yeah.
Yes.
Pillar. I like that. I've made far more trips to DC in the past few years than I did in the years before that. And by the way, I look back on that and I regret that. I think we made a mistake by not leaning in earlier, and we're trying to make up for lost time to some degree.
Leaning in how?
Well, part of it is just education, right? It's showing up here. And look, I'll speak freely.
Okay, what he really meant to say there was, we didn't grease the wheels hard enough on the Democratic side, like we should have, and we're making up for lost time. AKA Larson donating $11.6 million so far, plus to Harris's campaign. Greasing the wheels, folks. You got to grease the wheels. You're gonna have to pay a lot to get ahead if the Dems are in charge this night. I'm telling you, if it goes down that way, and you're an investor like I, and you are not taking from the system and you're actually giving back, you're fucked. We're fucked. So you better get prepared now. You better be prepared, and you better know the right tokens. That's why I always say the ISO and IoT, all the other junk. Good, the meme tokens have their rally, but what ends up happening to every single one of them that are a meme coin that do not have any utilization, they'll have a 1,200 or 1,500 or 2,000% run, but it drops the fucking hammer. How many people are actually buying in on the bottom, or are they actually buying in on the top when all of the so-called influencers that get paid to push these pieces of shit, right? Because that's what happens. They get paid a pile of tokens. They get told what level to sell it at. They get as many people from their audience to come in, and the higher it goes, the more they make, and they don't pay a dime for it except their promotional time. And then the token, it looks like it's up 800, 1,000, 10,000%. And what happens? Retail starts getting in and finding out about it. It comes to the actual exchanges. Retail can get on, and boom, it drops 99%. Who makes all the money? Who makes all the money? Certainly not retail.
In a very private audience. It doesn't help that you had Sam Bankman-Fried showing up on Capitol Hill with cargo shorts and, selling something that turned out not to be exactly what was represented. That hurt the whole industry. That hurt Ripple.
I won't say anything else, but I owe it to you. The one way that you'll know who's shelling out these tokens and got paid, every time you come up to a channel and every 6 or 8 weeks, the person you're watching, and you know who I'm talking about, and don't be shy. It's for your own education, because you don't want to get fleece heisted and shisted on these tokens. They'll say this is the next 1000X coin. I can guarantee you it's going to do this and that and blah, blah, blah. They've gotten paid by these people to do these tokens. Notice they'll only promote them for about a month or two. And right when the rug pull happens, they conveniently will never talk about these tokens again. It's as if they never exist, and they move on to the next one. Ethics, folks.
Show up here. Part of it is evangelist, advocate, diplomat, ambassador. I will also comment, and you and I talked about this a little backstage, but it's still interesting to me how the U.S. is behind other countries. I spend a significant amount of my time talking to central banks and regulators around the world. And whether we're talking about Japan or the UK or Singapore or the UAE or Switzerland, even Brazil, no, that's not to mean Brazil's bad. It's just including Brazil. You know, the U.S. is a laggard, and for reasons that don't really make sense. And I think it does get back to this kind of misinformation that it's been, you know, I think the Gensler reign of terror, you know, mixed with the Elizabeth Warren, you know, spreading misinformation. It's like crypto's the boogeyman. And it's just not the case. And so I think it's important for the industry to show up at events like this and make sure people understand how these technologies at their core can be used to benefit citizenry, to use to benefit businesses, reducing costs, increasing speed. You know, I truly do believe blockchain is going to rewire lots of parts of the financial ecosystem. Ripple's focused on our piece within that, but you know, I'm excited to see lots of other companies here representing.
So you do business all around the world. You understand the rules of the road in those jurisdictions because they are clear and because you've put in the time. So is there anything that you've learned from abroad that could be applied here?
Oh, sure. I mean, you know, look, let's use the UK. I mean, the UK was early in coming up with a kind of a taxonomy of how they defined different tokens. Certainly in Japan, I mean, look, I just think the U.S., for whatever reason, this SEC has failed to do the work. Like, you know, I remember early in Gensler's tenure, he went out and hired a whole bunch more litigators. If only he had used those budget dollars to hire some people to codify and write down and work with Congress to legislate, hey, this is new and it is a little bit different. And the Howey test, as much as you can try to twist it into knots or branches of a tree, orange tree, like it just doesn't quite fit. So that's okay. Let's sit down. Let's write rules. Let's not try to act like no, we have the rules we need. Gensler goes and testifies before Congress that we have the rules we need, and you know the
I'm here. I broke my back when I was 23, like 17 years ago, so it was really sore. So I had to stand up, but I'm here listening.
The community just won't follow them. Well, the good news is the courts don't agree. Now, that's slow, it's frustrating, and back to what I said earlier, do we really want to go litigate every token? And that appears to be how, you know, Gensler's, you know, it's like, hey, maybe it's a power, try to get more power. I don't really get it. It doesn't feel constructive. It doesn't feel like he's working for the U.S. citizens.
All right, so we're closing in on this election here in a couple of weeks. Can you say what exactly is at stake here for crypto? And I talked about this backstage too, but it seems like for an industry that, you know, has always said it's nonpartisan and has evidence of growing bipartisan support in Congress, the vibe seems to be throughout election season increasingly partisan. Do you agree that Trump would be very, very good for crypto and Harris would be very, very bad for crypto? What exactly is at stake, you know, come November 5th? And is it as dire as it's been made out to be, I guess?
Well, I do believe this is the most important election since I've been in crypto a long time. You pointed that out a few times. I think this is the most important election we have had. But I also believe no matter what happens, we're going to have a more pro-crypto, more pro-innovation Congress than we ever had. I think no matter what happens, we're going to leave behind a failed approach from the Biden administration. It has been an attack, and it isn't just the SEC. You know, look, the OCC is hostile towards crypto. The Treasury is hostile towards crypto. The idea that people say choke point 2.0, and just to define that, you know, that their choke point 1.0 was this idea of the banking industry was debanking a industry around payday lending and these things. It wasn't legal, and actually they lost court cases later on, but choke point 2.0 is the crypto industry, and individuals within the crypto industry are being debanked. I personally have been debanked. I got a call not that long ago from, you know, one of the major banking institutions I'd had an account with for 25 years, and they said, you have 5 days to move your money. Why? And they were actually super honest. They're like, look, you are a notable person in crypto, and having notable people with crypto and banking the crypto industry means more scrutiny from federal regulators. So we don't want it. Now, that's not legal, but it's also like, okay, fine. There's other banks that'll bank me. But imagine if you extrapolate that out and more banks, if I actually was cut off the banking system for the sole reason that I'm the CEO of Ripple. That is a hostile administration. And I think no matter what happens in this next election, we will have a reset. We can debate the magnitude of that reset, and there's lots of disagreement about that. Obviously, Trump came out early and very aggressively in a pro-crypto and said he's the crypto president. Kamala and Team Harris have been more nuanced. This week, I think it was this week, they had some of the most constructive things they have said publicly. But look, I do think, you know, Kamala Harris is from Silicon Valley. I think she has generally been pro-technology over the years. She has been relatively quiet on the topic. But I think no matter what happens, we're going to see a reset. We're going to see forward progress. And I certainly am looking forward to that.
Yeah, so you are wearing a purple tie, so you're not here to make it.
So basically what he said is we've already greased both sides. We're good. Costs us some money, but we're fine. There's a reason why we're selling our XRP. We got to make sure that, you know, we're pushing the crypto agenda in our favor. I don't know.
Make any endorsements?
I did endorse John Deaton yesterday. I'd already given money to him. So, but look, Elizabeth Warren, I think, has been the most destructive towards this. I mean, she has a webpage on her campaign that says, I'm building a an anti-crypto army. It's like, okay, I'm against the technology. I made the joke before, like, why would somebody be against the technology? It's like saying I'm against email, but you're for email. It doesn't make sense. Like, you could say I'm against how crypto is being used, or I'm against something, but like, to be against the technology, like, technologies inherently are just neutral technologies. They can be used in lots of different ways. So I don't get that. And I think that the citizens of Massachusetts deserve better than somebody who, by the way, she won't take meetings with the industry either. Like, at least learn, at least be willing to engage and have a dialogue. So I think we all, as citizens of the United States, deserve better.
And what would you tell whoever becomes the next president would be sort of step one in healing the crypto industry?
You know, I think that the key will be, you know, who are the people they appoint into various places. And again, I don't think you can do worse than Gary Gensler. I think he's that bad for the industry. It's just, I don't think he's playing fair by the rules. I think he's been disingenuous with the industry. I don't know. I can't say enough negative things. But so, look, I think the key indication will be who gets appointed to run the OCC, who gets appointed to run Treasury and some of the key positions in Treasury, who's going.
Okay, so I got to go, everybody. My son's a little upset inside, so I'm going to go. But I got through the points I wanted to make here with this video. So have a blessed evening, everybody. We'll get talking a little bit later. Hope this found